Hey YouTube, what do you think? This is H2OK Farm, and I'm gonna make some bread today. This is how I make it. I make bread pretty much all the time. So this is some of the bread I already made. This is about a couple days, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago. Made this. This is what we got left. So I obviously need to make more. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a double loaf, a double batch. Get 2 loaves, and maybe I'll freeze one. Of course, there ain't no sense of freezing it because we eat so damn much bread that it don't last. I probably need to make about 30 or 40 loaves and freeze about 8 of them because we're gonna eat the rest of them. Day or 2, 3, maybe 4. I don't know. All right, now this ain't. Everybody makes bread different. I get it. This is how I make bread, right? And it's good. It's good bread. It's good looking bread. Smells good bread. All right, let's make bread. Let's do that. Let's make bread. Make bread. This is what's about to happen right here. This is gonna happen. Right now, it's gonna happen. All right, so I got one of these KitchenAid mixers. It's just it's the cheapest one they make, but still, it's ridiculous. From your local box store. You know what I'm talking about. This one, it's that guy. Everything this machine does, you can do by hand, and I have personally done by hand until I can get this thing. I probably cooked about 15 loaves of bread out of this thing. It's definitely getting this. I'm getting my money's worth out of it. See now, my wife is PMing me right now. You hear that in the background? That's my wife PMing me. So, just a moment, please. Hey, just wait right there. I'm back, YouTube. Okay, so, all right, let's get started on this recipe. Here we go. We're gonna go. Recipe calls for 1 loaf. The recipe calls for 3 1/4 cups of flour. I use unbleached, all-purpose, and it works. I imagine that you could use the regular bleached, you know, the regular white flour. I don't know why I started with unbleached, but it works because here you go. See, so, all right. So there's 6 1/2. It looks like about 16 1/2, but I promise you it's 6 1/2. Rewind the tape, you see. By the way, I'm a messy kitchen guy. I ain't clean. That's just the bottom line on that. And I ain't clean because I'm lazy. I'm lazy. Okay, so now we're gonna do, this calls for, one recipe is half a teaspoon, not tablespoon, this is a tablespoon, half a teaspoon of salt. So a teaspoon is 1/4 of a tablespoon, right? I don't know, but look, this is about what I do. I take this tablespoon and I put about that much. Can you see that? I hope you can see that. I hope it focused. Again, there's nothing on this camera to indicate what the hell I'm looking at right now. About that much. Let's put that right in there. All right. The recipe also calls for, oh crap. It didn't call for crap. That was just me. All right, it calls for 3 tablespoons of sugar. So we're gonna put 6. It also calls for 3 cups, my God, 3 tablespoons of instant dry milk. You may or may not know what this is about, so you know where I got this. It's like, I don't remember, like $7, $8. Now you can get the smaller one, and some people have said this ain't no good, don't use it, whatever, and that's fine. They can say that, but again, I'm just saying it's pretty, whatever, right? So we're gonna do 6 because there's 3 for 1. 3 tablespoons for 1 recipe. I'm doubling 1. So I don't know what any of that stuff does to make the bread. Like, I don't know what its purpose is, but it makes good bread. My mom makes this. It has for, I don't know, about 100, 150 years. Don't tell her I said that, please. but she's been making it for a minute, and it's always been good. This is a good basic recipe. I've made rolls out of this. just don't put them in a pan, or I mean in a bread pan. You just put them in a long pan, make balls out of them, boom. It's the same. It's the same. Pretty much. Don't, you know. I knew I'd gotten all my stuff out. I got to talking is what happened. And then I forgot what the hell I was doing. So, a single recipe calls for, God, I hope I'm in this frame, or I'm standing here talking with my chin. This is probably what's happening, huh? Whatever. So, this is the instant yeast, right? So, you don't want to use that long-term yeast, whatever the hell. Here, hang on. I think I got some. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so you don't want to use that, right? I don't know why. I don't know why. It must be real because they said so. I don't know. But apparently you have to you gotta doctor this and, you know, I don't know, hold your tongue just right, whatever. I don't know. But it don't do right. It don't do like I want it to. So you get this stuff right here. It's fast acting, instant yeast. I always make this the last thing I put in, and I don't know why. It just feels right. So I've already used one. This comes in a pack of 3. That comes in a pack of 3, and they're like $1.50 for the 3 of them. But anyways, so, and then I just cut them in half, or separate them. Top off. There. Trash. Just dump it in there. Just dump it right in the dry ingredients. If you use this kind of yeast, you can do that. If you use that over there, it won't work this way. You might get some rise out of your bread, but it won't be very good. It's a thing. So these dry ingredients, want to mix them up. I do it with my hand. If that makes you squeamish, I'm sorry. Well, okay, that's a lie. I'm not even sorry. Mix it up. It's gonna be all right. Ain't nobody gonna die. Just make sure your hands are clean. But you know, I feel like you probably, if you've made it this far, you should know that. It's just kind of mixing that dry ingredients. But I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna get some water, warm, not hot and not cold. So it's just gotta be warm. The number I've heard is around 105 degrees. Now I'm not gonna be over there with a temperature gauge or nothing like that. I'm just gonna, well, come here, I'll show you. Turn it on the hot side. Then I let it go till it's, well, hot water. And then that's a little too hot. So I'll just kind of back it off a little bit. So it just feels, I mean, just warm. Just warm. Like if you have kids and you ever had to make the baby's bottle and you squirt it down on your arm, it's about that. Maybe a little tiny, yeah, no, it's about that. All right, so the recipe calls for 1.5 cups, and that, my friends, is an approximate number. Well, actually, it's an absolute number, but the recipe is saying about, approximately 1.5 for 1 loaf. I'm doubling this loaf, or this recipe, so we're gonna go with 3. Now, it could take more, it might take less. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm gonna start with 3. Now, you may notice that this little machine is gonna start to struggle here in a minute with all this load under it. This will break off of here. Not break, it'll come undone, just a minute. I'm gonna add about another 1/2 cup there. Just let that ride for a minute. I think this is about right. It's probably been going for, I don't know, 5, 6. I didn't time it. I just went and did some other stuff and came back and looked at it. This is what it should look like approximately. Okay. Come on, man. So we're just gonna scrape this down off the hook. By the way, I used the dough hook. It should be pretty well kneaded. That's the whole purpose of that kneading stick thing, chimichanga, or whatever the hell it's called. So you dump it out onto the counter, or not, whatever. I'm flexible, however you want to do it. Now, what in the hell? So I don't know where we have a little paper towel dispenser. So I'm gonna take this cheap. I use the butter flavor. You can use, well, you can use anything you damn want, or you can just take some butter and put it on your hands, or put it on a spatula, or whatever, how you want to do it, and just get this thing oiled up a little bit. But I just kind of moisten the edges, moisten it down a little bit. Doesn't have to be a whole bunch, just a little. And then I take this and I cuss at it a little bit, roll it under just a tiny bit, because all we want is for it to be a ball, basically. And then boom, boom shaka. There it is. We're gonna wait till that doubles in size, which will be about the surface of this, maybe a little bubble over the top. So I'm gonna take this towel. This towel. I use this towel for everything from canning strawberries, or jelly, jam. I guess technically it's jam, strawberry jam, which I will show you in another video, not today. And I'm just gonna set it in my laundry room. And as far as time, there's science, right? There's all kind of science. It tells you all kind of stuff, and it's all true. Science, for the most part, true, right? But my science is this. Ready? When it doubles in size, it's done. If that takes 30 minutes, or if it takes 3 days, which it's not, but if it did, then it's done, right? Because it's when it doubles or more, that's when you're done. All right, let me go proof this bread, and then I'll get back to you as soon as it's proofed up. It's gonna be a minute for me. It's right now. Watch, I'll show you, because I forgot. So, also, while it's mixing, forgot to tell you this. While it's mixing, and it's just barely incorporated it's real moist, you got to get some unsalted butter and make it soft. This is not soft, so unsalted butter. Make sure it's soft, like real soft. Put 3 tablespoons per recipe. I put 5. It's supposed to be 6. 3 times 2, 6. I put 5 because that's plenty. Butter ain't cheap. But you can measure on here, and it's more or less right. Again, there's science. It's fine. It'll be fine. Anyway, you add that in, make sure it gets mixed into the wet dough, right? All right. So, I believe it's done proofing. Remember what I said a minute ago about it doubling at least, and then some be all right too. I'll be right back. An hour. It's a guess. About an hour. It's been about an hour. All right. Let's see. So you see what I'm saying about the yeast and this, man, quit it right now. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. This is where it gets fun. Give me a knife. Give me a sharp knife, okay? This is my favorite knife in the world. I love this knife. Everything about this knife, it cuts. And it's heavy. It's real, like, woo! Let me just rinse that off. Remember when your mama told you don't play with knives? That's what she was talking about. That's exactly what she was talking about. All right, so here we're gonna knock this down. But first, before we do that, I'm gonna leave that there. I use these 2 pans. I don't know what size these things are. Yeah, this one's got nothing on it. Anyway, 5x9. This one's Pyrex. This one's metal. I don't know. But what you can use also is a skillet, an iron, cast iron skillet. I love cast iron. It's the best cookware ever. Anybody who tells you anything different, they're lying to you. It's the best ever. If you know how to take care of it and maintain it. I'll do that in another video. This is a 1930, somewhere between 1930 and 1940 5Y. So here's what we do. We get back out our little great value butter flavored chimichanga sauce. And then we just give it a little, hey, a little moisture, you know, little thing like that. There you go. Ta-da! Watch. There you go. Simple. Simple. All right, we're gonna knock this down right quick, and then this is where I don't know why, but this makes me anxious. Not this part, but the next. I'll show you. Anyway, so we're gonna knock it down. See, just poke your finger in it, boom, falls down. Right? No big deal. Now we ain't gonna fool with it. We ain't gonna knead it. We ain't gonna do none of that crap. So we're just gonna dump it out. Boom. There it is, right there. Then I just take it and I eyeball it. My eyes are good. So, and then just pick the middle. Ain't gotta be perfect. Just pick the middle. Boom. Do that. Alright, and again, I'm going to put these side by side like this with a little gap in the middle, and then I'm going to lay it like that, right? I'm not going to do that until I get in there. But we're going to do that now. Again, you want to go until you want it, right? So I want the bread to be just above the edge, the top edge here. So we're going to basically rise it. Now, earlier we were proofing the bread, and now we're rising the bread. And to be honest, I don't know what the difference is. It's the same thing. I think it does the same thing. That what you see, I don't know. It's science. I don't know. It's always rising, as far as I'm concerned. It's called rising the bread. You're raising the bread, proving whatever. All right, I'll be back. All right. So now the bread is rising. And see, it didn't stick to the counter or nothing. I don't know if that's because of what my counters are made out of, or what, I don't know. But I see people pouring down, you know, handfuls, fistfuls. They got like a garden shovel in here, putting flour down. I've never had that problem, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing different, but if you do everything like I done, it shouldn't stick. I mean, if you try to do this on concrete, it's probably gonna stick. but I generally don't have it stick. That's it. That's the one. So I'm gonna let that rise, and then I'll get back to you right now in just a minute. Well, it'll be right now for you. I'm gonna go over there and do some stuff in there and get whatever. But it's not. It's gonna be probably about 45 minutes ish. Last 15 minutes, you got to preheat your oven. I'll tell you about that in a second. My battery's about to die, so I got to kind of hurry up about all this. But so about 15 minutes before these are done, roughly, you want to start your oven 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what Celsius is because I don't know nothing about that. You do the Google. I don't want to. Plus my battery's gonna die. So anyway, that's about how tall I like it. That works for me, right? So I get my knife, and on both of them, and I just usually, it's super sharp. Well, okay, it's pretty sharp, and I just lightly drag it, right? Like it's kind of pulling on it because I haven't sharpened it in a little while. But anyway, just lightly drag it across the top of it. That'll spread, you know, as it grows in the oven. And then, matter of fact, this thing's pretty cool. Sits on the counter, sharpen your blades. I know you can't see me right now because you may have noticed I'm a bigger fella. I'm aware, but maybe you didn't notice. Anyway, and so maybe that'll be a little bit better. But trust me, you just drag your knife through that. See, look, that thing sharpen that blade like no kidding. Fix this one. Boom. Look at that. That's the difference. Anyway, so 350 degrees.
Got my pole, tackle box, and the radio up. Cold beer in my hand and the woman I love. Jamming to a beat with a down on twang. Cause where I'm from, it's a down on thing. Got my pole, tackle box, and the radio up. Cold beer in my hand and the woman I love. Jamming to a beat with a down on twang. Cause where I'm from, it's a down on thing.
Coming straight up out the woods where I love to stay. It's that country white boy that you love to hate. Pushing them 4 wheels.